Hi everyone, today we're going to talk about Bienenstichkuchen, which is a traditional German dessert. It's like a yeast cake and then it has a vanilla pudding center and then like an almond and honey topping. So we're going to go over some helpful terms for when you're talking about Bienenstichkuchen and desserts in general. Then we're going to go over the ingredients you'll need to make the cake, and then we'll talk about how to make the cake, and then I'll wrap up with just a little 1-minute video that shows you how to actually make the cake. It'll be just a quick wrap up. So, some helpful terms. Der Bienenstich is a bee sting. This is where the name of the cake comes from. No one really knows why it's called Bienenstichkuchen. Some people think that the baker who invented it was using a lot of honey and it had attracted a lot of bees and then they stung him. Other people think that there were two warring villages and when some invaders came, they threw a beehive at them and then the invaders retreated, so the town made a honey cake to celebrate, but no one actually really knows why it's called Bienenstichkuchen. So then, die Hefe is yeast. So like I said, this is a yeast cake, and it uses der Teig. Der Teig is dough, so it's not a cake batter type of cake. It's like a kneaded and rolled dough. Der Honig is honey. So that's going to be in this crispy topping, and it's a pretty crucial element of Bienenstichkuchen. And then we have die Mandel, which is an almond, so those are also in that topping. So then some verbs to help you learn how to make the cake. Kneten, ich knete, du knetest, sie es knetet. You have to remember when you're conjugating to add that extra E in there so that you're not knetet, du knetst. So just remember to add that extra E. And that means to knead, so it looks a lot similar. So ich knete den Teig. Unterrühren is a difficult one. That means to mix in. Now this is a separable verb, which means this prefix unter, you need to take it and put it after the direct object in this case. So if you wanted to say that you mix the almonds into the mixture, you would say ich rühre die Mandel unter die Mischung. So just remember to keep that at that end. And then we have backen, which looks a lot like its English word, to bake. Now it's important to remember that kochen is not backen, because in English it would be weird if you cooked a cake. In German it's very weird because kochen with a specific dish a lot of times means to boil. So you don't want to boil a cake, you want to bake a cake. So ich backe einen Kuchen. So then we have zudecken. Zudecken means to cover, and this is another separable verb. So you take that prefix zu, and put it at the end. So you'll see later we're going to cover the dough to let it rise. So you would say ich decke den Teig zu. And that conjugates pretty regularly. Ich decke zu, du deckst zu, deckt zu, und so weiter. Then there's verteilen. Ich verteile, du verteilst, sie es verteilt. That means to spread, in some cases distribute, but in this case we mean spread. Like the filling, you could spread that over the cake, so you might say ich verteile die Füllung auf dem Kuchen. And then some helpful adjectives to describe the cake. We have süß. Süß means sweet. So der Kuchen ist süß. We have cremig. Cremig is creamy. It looks a lot like its English translation. So you could say, die Füllung ist cremig. And then we have nussig. Nussig looks like it's English translation too. Nutty. So you could say, die Mandeln sind nussig. And then there's knusprig, which also goes with the almonds. So you could say, it means crunchy. So you could say, die Mandeln sind knusprig. And then saftig. Saftig means moist. It's not wet or damp. It's moist like a cake would be. So, der Kuchen ist saftig. So, some ingredients you're going to need. For the dough, or der Teig, you will need milk, flour, Hefe. You're going to need Hefe, sugar, vanilla extract, salt, butter, and an egg. And then for the filling, you're going to need milk, instant vanilla pudding, vanilla extract, and whipping cream. And then the topping, you're going to need sugar, butter, Honig, whipping cream, and Mandeln. You're going to need Mandeln for the topping. So now to make the dough, you're going to warm the milk on the stove, but it shouldn't be hot or anything. It should just be kind of warm. And you'll put the flour and the Hefe into a mixing bowl and sprinkle the sugar on top so it'll look like this first step. Then you'll add the warm milk and the vanilla extract, and then you're going to knead it using an electric mixer so it looks like this, or knete den Teig, knead it. Then you'll add the butter and the egg, and you're going to keep kneading until the dough forms a ball like this. So it shouldn't be sticky anymore, it shouldn't be too wet or too dry, it should be just right, just to form a ball. And then you'll cover the bowl with a towel and let the dough rise for 1 hour. So you're going to decke den Teig zu. Then for the filling, you're going to combine the milk and the instant pudding. Just read the directions on the package for the pudding and that should be fine. You'll add in the vanilla extract and it'll basically look like this. It's just a white liquidy mixture. Then you will decke die Füllung zu, and then you're going to just set it aside. For later, the whipping cream you're going to do once you've totally baked the cake so it doesn't deflate. And then you can just refrigerate it for now because it's going to be a while until you need it. So then we have the almond topping. You're going to heat the butter, the sugar, the honey, and the whipping cream on low heat until the butter has melted and the sugar's dissolved. So it's going to start to look like this. And then you'll take it off the heat and stir in the sliced almonds and set aside, or you'll rühre die Mandeln unter. So then to bake the cake, you're going to grease a 13 by 9 inch baking pan like in the top left corner. And then after the dough has risen, you're going to knead it by hand for a couple minutes, knete per Hand, and then roll it to fit that sheet, just like in the picture. And then you can verteile die Mandeln auf den Teig. You're going to spread the almond topping onto the dough, and it's going to look like this picture. And then bake 20 bis 25 Minuten, or bake for 20 to 25 minutes. And the top should be golden brown. Don't burn it or set it on fire or anything. Remove it from the oven and let it cool completely. Otherwise, your filling is going to melt. So you don't want that. Then once it's cooled, you can whip the cream for the filling and then just fold in that pudding mixture you made earlier. Then you're gonna cut the cake into 2 layers. This recipe suggests cutting it into quarters like this first so that you can actually get it out of the pan, otherwise it's going to be kind of difficult. So once you do that, you can cut it into 2 layers like this, and then you're going to verteile die Füllung auf dem Kuchen, because at this point it's Kuchen and not Teig. So then you've got your finished product right here and you're all done. So now I'll just show you this quick video. It's not exactly the same as the recipe I showed you, but it's very similar and gives you a pretty good overview of how to make it. So yep, you're going to prepare the cake ingredients, and then you're going to get the almond topping ingredients, so the honey and the whipped cream and all that, and you'll bake each cake layer. Then while that's baking, you can make the topping and pour it onto the cake. And this, as you can see, has a little different. They have you bake it like after and before, but it's pretty similar. And then you'll just cut the second one into layers, and then add filling onto the bottom layer, and then add the top layer. So you basically make a sandwich, and then that's it. So I hope you learned a lot from this video, and that maybe you'll even make this cake. So, guten Appetit!